Hello and welcome to Intuitive Wisdom for Modern Transformation. I'm Dr. Morgan Oakes. I'm your host and your partner for today's exploration. I'm also a transformational keynote speaker, high performance coach, and shamanic practitioner who's really excited to help you get clear about what you love and also help you step further into living your top life. Today we have a special episode where together we're going to explore clarity, courage, inspired action. Now, an easier way to break those down are just into, are we good at listening and are we good at stepping in our life? And so the clarity piece is really what I speak about in my TEDx talk entitled Learning the Language of Dude. And this talk was based on 4 visions I'd had about traveling through Central America and what happened when I went on that trip. So there's more information in that about the previous episode that I shared here on the podcast. And spoiler alert, if you haven't listened to it yet, 3 of the 4 visions happened. So yeah, it was a good experience. And so what I feel has been true for me in my life is, where do I have clarity? Where am I being courageous or not being courageous? And then where am I taking those inspired actions? Where am I listening and where am I stepping? And a lot of times I feel like my pain shows up, where am I listening and not stepping? Or where am I busy stepping, but I really haven't taken the time to listen or followed through with that? And so as we kind of explore and build this out today, what I like doing is looking at, where can I apply this in my life? Does this show up in my relationship? Does this show up in business, career, work, what I do, to make money? How does this show up around my health, my friendships, my interactions with my family, with, even the creative things I'm doing with, learning an instrument or doing something more creative in my life? And so, for me, clarity is really about, how do we listen to those areas in life? I feel like information's always coming into us. Those might show up as like, I just know I'm supposed to do this. I just know that it's time for me to step into this next phase of my career. I just know. We also have like, oh, I've got this, just had a gut instinct. Like, I just knew it in my gut. And sometimes the gut instinct is a good thing. And sometimes the gut instinct is like, wow, I really knew that I needed to step away from that person or that situation. Right? So when we look at some of the research around clarity, and we'll dive further into that in other episodes, there's great research that says that our body responds and gives us information so much faster than our conscious mind can actually relay that same information to us. And so if we're always just going to the mind, for those pieces of information, we're going to be behind the gun. I think intuition shows up in the way of synchronicities. What's that thing that, you've heard about 1, 2, 3 times? And what happens when you don't follow through with that? Where are those areas where we feel like we're going to step into something and makes all the hair on the back of our neck stand up, and we just know that, like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm excited about doing? Or maybe it's that, I've heard it described as that thin layer of nausea around the thing that's most meant for us. So maybe it's fear, maybe it's excitement showing up as fear. So I really love tracking clarity in my life. And, there's some powerful research around intuition. There's a lot of different tools around intuition that we're wanting to be exploring together. And I'm also looking forward, like I said in the previous episode, I want this to be a communication. I want this to be a back and forth between you and I. So, go to the website and interact and share what you're feeling, share how this is landing for you, and we'll keep exploring this together. So, and the reality is there's so many different ways to look at clarity, because I feel like it's really a blend of head, heart, and mind. And those people that they just lead with their head, everything's cognitive, everything's research, and there's many times that they end up down roads that maybe they wouldn't have ended up going down had they listened a little more to their heart or their gut, or maybe to some of those things coming from the outside world into them. And on the other side of that coin, we also know people that just, they're following their intuitions, they're just following their heart, they're following their passion, they're following their gut, and sometimes they're not blending the wisdom of life's experiences and the outer reality to, blend that into the best experience. That, I always I'm wanting ease and grace, I'm wanting that easy path, in that I don't want to be making dumb mistakes, but also I know that the path that we're most passionate about, the path for me that is the one that really fuels me, that excites me, that makes that hair stand up on the back of my neck, it isn't always the easy path but it can be with ease and grace. And so, sometimes it's a lot of work. Sometimes it's, actually, even as I'm recording this, it's an amazing day outside and I'm inside in a room that's a little too hot recording a podcast, because this is what I'm passionate about. This is the conversation I love having. I both love, sharing, being verbal about it. But I love hearing these stories. It's what fuels me. So that first piece is clarity. Now, a lot of times we know people, or maybe we are those people, that we have clarity. We know what comes next. We know what we're supposed to step into next, and we're holding back from that. We're not doing it. And a lot of times I think what keeps us from that is a lack of courage. And saying that in the kindest way possible and receiving that in the kindest way possible, if we know what we should be doing and we're not doing it, is a lack of courage coming in. And we a lot of times have a number of excuses around that, like, oh, it's time, or it's money, or it's a spouse, or it's never been that way, or, life is good right now, it's comfortable. And courage is that thing that helps us step into that best life. And I feel like when we don't do that, it becomes that slow burn. It's that pebble in our shoe that it might be all right if all you need to do is go to the grocery store today, but if you've got miles and miles and years and years and years ahead of you, that little stone in your shoe, that pebble, is going to turn into a big deal. And I think that's where lack of courage comes in. I always say that settle to me is a 4-letter word. Like, it's truly a cuss or curse word, because in settling and letting life flatline, I don't believe that lives do that. I believe they're either increasing in vibration and vibrancy and frequency. They're either going up, or they're in maybe a slow or fast descent. They're going down. And so settling, flatlining, I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's actually a real thing. It's much like a bird. They're either lifting up or they're crashing down. And there's things that they can do to control both. And I think that's true for us. So for me, courage is about, one, letting people let go of those unhealthy comparisons in our life. It's really easy to drive ourselves based on, what do my parents or my grandparents do? What do I think my ancestors expect of me? Or what is it the neighbors are doing? Or what is it that my, a test score told me I would be good at? And so if we can let go of unhealthy comparison and begin to approximate our best life, courage isn't jumping out of an airplane. Now, does it take courage to jump out of an airplane? Absolutely. But there's so many small steps that are courageous before that actually happens. There's considering it and going on the website and maybe scheduling a day and coordinating with friends. And there's actually, purchasing the ticket to go do that and reserving your spot and, getting up that morning and making the drive out there. And what do you eat or not eat based on, do I have enough energy to skydive today, but not too much food in my stomach to where there might be a natural but undesired outcome. So courage is a bunch of small steps moving forward. And so if we can let go of our parts of our past that really aren't serving us, if we can let go of some of those stories, let go of some of those shoulds, and really get solid in who we are, what we're wanting, and then picking that meaningful goal in the future, and maybe that is based on that piece of clarity that we've received, and then just step into it. Be living courageously. And, sometimes I feel like looking at somebody else that's already doing it, can we model after what they're doing? Oh, wow, this person seems like they've got that good balance of maybe relationship, health, and career. Or maybe that person, they've got a grounded and stable life, but they're also taking adventurous, outings. Maybe they've got that piece of safety, but they're also bringing in that piece of adventure. And so, who can we model after that seems like they're doing it in a good way? The next level up from that might be mentoring. Like, is there somebody out there that we can really, that's maybe they're already a friend, maybe they're already in our social circle, or, you're in a career trajectory where mentoring is a thing that you can do, or maybe you just reach out to somebody and, you're really looking for that opportunity, that relationship where you get taken under their wing and you get fed like a baby bird, like, just show me the way, give me a few worms here. Let's explore this together. Or maybe it's directly with coaching. Typically I always have a coach in my life. I'm always wanting, actually I was at a networking event just a few days ago, and somebody pulled me aside and they're like, oh my gosh, isn't it amazing to be one of the least qualified people in a room? They may have said that differently, but it's that idea of like, are you surrounding yourself with greatness so that you can be leveling up, so that you can be seeing a different way of doing things. And I really, sometimes it feels nice to be a little bit ahead and you're able to share some wisdom. And sometimes, I would say more often, it's really nice to surround yourself with people that are going to stretch you and help you grow and show you some possibilities for yourself, for this life that you hadn't considered. And so, for me, I do that a lot of times through coaching. So the other piece about that is it's really, like I said, it's not skydiving necessarily. It's not that last 6 inches you have to move forward to fall out of the airplane or jump out of the airplane. It's all the things that led up to that. Those are the big courageous steps. And I think that's life as well. Do we have clarity? Are we making those courageous steps consistently day by day so that, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, a decade from now, we're living a new life that was made inch by inch? So it's kind of a fun story. A lot of times I will look for these personal growth opportunities, and one of them has been Vision Quest. And Vision Quest, in the way that I've done it's 4 days out in nature, no food, very little liquid, and you're just able to spend time with nature and learn things in a way that you can't maybe learn at your house on a weekend. And in one of these experiences, I spent most of an afternoon watching an inchworm. And it was fascinating where this inchworm could go only as far as it could reach out. And so it would be on the end of a branch and it would just reach out and stretch as far as it could. It never jumped. It never leaped. And some of us like to know that we're going to jump off those cliffs and the wings will form, and we just trust in that. And that's how we're wired. Some people don't. And what I loved from this inchworm was it started out on the ground, and later that day it had climbed probably about 20 feet up this tree, and then about another 20 feet out this branch, and it was back to within, let's say, 6 feet from where I was, from where we started. Inch by inch, never jumping, never leaping, just staying consistent in its path. So for me, courage is really living like an inchworm. And so the last part of that then is that inspired action. So I said listen and step. And the bridge between that is courage. You listen, then you courageously step. And then once you're stepping, sometimes we need to slow down and then courageously listen again. So I see that forms almost like if you imagine like a figure 8, that infinity symbol. And at the symbol, at the crossroads, is courage. Let's say on the left is clarity or listening, and on the right is inspired action or stepping. And so you listen, courageously step. You step, you courageously listen, and you just keep moving back and forth through that. And inspired action is necessary because we know those people, and maybe we are now or have been in the past, been those people that moving in a direction, but it's not inspired. It's based on information from a decade ago or from our parents or a school counselor or a career that's no longer serving us, or, it may be a career that no longer even exists. Again, that piece of modern transformation is that our world is changing very rapidly. And if we're not staying ahead of it, if we're at least not staying on the train, pretty soon we're going to realize that, oh my gosh, where has everything gone? I've had my eyes down and I've just been hustling and grinding and doing what, we quote unquote should be doing, and we've gotten off the trail. So are we, in our inspired action, moving in the direction of our most passionate life? And are we doing it in a way that makes it sustainable? It's really easy to get such narrow focus. I think there's both a blessing and a shadow side to, like ADHD. You can be so focused on something, you can miss everything else. And so is what we're doing sustainable? Is it healthy? Am I sprinkling in joy and connection and all those things that really make life worth living? And I would say that, inspired action, also has really refined with me being a doctor of chiropractic, learning about health. It's really up-leveled as I became a certified high-performance coach. That's work I continue to do today. And, combining those together with life experience and personal growth and seeing areas of my life that felt really fulfilled and other areas that I was maybe skipping over because someday in the future, that's going to be what I'm going to focus on. Whereas, we don't eat all our protein on Monday and then all our carb day Tuesday, and then all our fats on Wednesday, and it's not even every day that we eat those. What they really recommend is every meal. Where's that balance and where is that in our life so that, it isn't a peak for the next 2 weeks and a crash for a month, or I'm going to do this certain thing for now and then I'm going to fall away from it for a year. So I really love this work. I love this conversation. I love this framework. And I really like seeing how people are living their top life, how they're blending this and how they're showing it up. And so as we've gone through this today, I hope you had some really just wonderful insights, maybe some areas where you are wanting more clarity, maybe some areas where you have some clarity and you're like, you know what, it's time for me to step into that in my relationship, in my career, in my health, in my connection to others, and my creativity, ultimately in, your experience of this life, and maybe you have those areas where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so courageous. And I think we're all courageous. I mean, mothers, for me, as a man, when I look at courage, like I can't think of anything more courageous on the planet than stepping into delivering a child and then raising them, right? That's a big deal. So courage doesn't always look like skydiving or a firefighter saving, somebody from a burning building, although I think both those things are very courageous. How's courage showing up in your life? For me, it's the little things that require more courage. I'd rather jump off of a cliff than sometimes, the courageous action for me is the small things like this. This has been something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And now courage, balancing out some things in my life and actually stepping into it. I'm so excited you're here. I'm so excited that we're exploring this together. And then inspired action. Where are we moving through our life? Are we just having action? Is it inspired? Are we passionate about it? Is it what we were passionate about a decade ago, or is it something that we're still passionate about? Is it something that we have lost our passion because we've settled or flatlined a little bit and we don't need to jump off the track completely? It's just about how to reinvigorate and make it inspired. So I'm excited to keep exploring this with you, both today and moving forward. I know there'll be a great episode waiting for you in the future on the other side of this one. And I'm excited to be here. I'm excited you've been here with me and look forward to connecting more and exploring more together in the future. Thank you so much. Be well. Thank you for exploring intuitive wisdom and modern transformation with me today. If you enjoyed your experience, please rate, review, and subscribe to the show on iTunes. It really does make a difference. For those of you that want more information about having me speak at your company or event, or are interested in coaching directly with me, please go to drmorganoaks.com and send me a message today.